Alright, pressure's on. One take. Hey, what's up? It's Mark Knox here for Dart Frog Dojo, and I'm back again working on my 70-gallon reef tank. If you notice, the tank behind me is filled with water, but it's filled with fresh water. I had to do my leak test, which was successful for the most part. I had a few minor leaks at the bulkheads, but I was able to tighten those up and get everything squared away. Now it's time to get some salt water put in here. I'm going to make my own salt water using a RODI system, which I have to install. That's what you see right here in the white box, along with a couple other goodies. Let's take a look. Alright, so what we have here are some things that just came in a shipment. I got a shipment from saltwater.com, VRS.
Sorry.
That's right. What's up, bud?
It was the one time I don't look.
That's okay. What's up? Alright, so what you see here is some of the things I got in a few shipments. I got a shipment from saltwater.com, bulk reef supply, Amazon, and from walmart.com. So in the white box here, this is a Maxspect RODI system. I got that from saltwater.com, along with a flood guardian. They call it the marriage saver. Also ordered a shot glass here that has some measurements on it, a couple of dosing pump stickers, and I got a free t-shirt for all the stuff I ordered. Go figure. From VRS, I got some valves here. One of the most important ones is this right here. This is a inline diverter. It's a great little tool. I'll show you when we hook up the RODI system how well it works. From Amazon, I got a couple solenoids. A regular solenoid that is triggered from the float valve that turns off the pressure, the pump. And then I got this solenoid, which is a little bit different. This actually turns off the water. So one turns off the pump, one turns off the water. If you turn off the pump without turning off the water, the pressure of the water still goes through the pump. So it'd still be putting pressure into your system. You don't want that. And then I also got a additional pressure gauge. This goes between the actual pump and RODI system, so that you can tell how much pressure is coming out of the pump into your RODI system. And then lastly, I got these little jugs here from walmart.com. They were $14.99. This is great because these are 7-gallon containers versus the 5-gallon buckets. My tank is approximately 70 gallons, so if I had to do a 10% water change, one of these equals a full 10%. If I use 2 of these, then it's 20%. Simple math. Alright, so let's take a look at what's inside the RODI system. Warning, this box is for retail display only. It is not approved for direct shipping. Date of manufacturer, 8/20, sell by. Let's take a look at that. Hold on. You see that? Date of manufacture, April 2019, sell by October 2019. I'm making this video in July of 2020. Was saltwater.com supposed to sell me this RODI system? Alright, it looks like they ship it ready to go. That's your full valve, your bypass switch, and your, look like the wrench. Alright, here we go. And then this is just looks like my cabling, or looks like my RODI hose, along with a adapter. Here we have TDS meter, another TDS meter, manual flush valve. I guess already set up and ready to go. This shouldn't be hard at all. Alright, so this is the Spectra RODI system after I've added a few things to it. Let me explain to you first and foremost. The water comes in through here. It goes through the filter. It's a 5-micron filter. Then it goes through the 5-micron carbon block, goes out and up in through this line. And this line goes into your first RO membrane. That sends out your waste and then sends it into your second RO membrane. That goes into, same thing, your restrictor, and then it both goes out into your RODI resin, then out of that RODI resin to your second RODI resin, and then that goes out into your water. So what I did is I added this little valve here. This valve basically allows you, when you put a brand new carbon filter on, if you turn it this way, it sends the water to the RO membrane. If you turn it this way, it sends the water out into your sink and allows you to run your carbon block until it's clean, so you don't send all that carbon to your RO membrane. Alright, so let's just say we turn it down, we turn it back that way, and now the water's going into your RO membrane. Now this little switch right here is our manual RO membrane, so we can drain it. or flush it. So we turn it this way. It's when it's perpendicular, that means the water is running from the RO membrane into the DI resin. When we turn it this way, it flushes the valve and sends the water through the RO membrane and then out into the sink. Let's put that back so we know. And then on the back, the last thing I added. Alright, so we turn the unit around. In the back here, when the water comes out of the RO membrane and is headed to the first DI resin right here, I put a little T-valve, and then that goes down in this green line to here. What that allows it to do is it allows it to send out RO water for drinking water or to flush your RO membrane for TDS creep before it gets to the DI resin. So that's another way to preserve your DI resin. But if you need RO water for drinking, just turn this valve and you can make drinking water. Alright, so now I'm in my basement and I've installed the Spectra RODI system. There's a drain pipe that runs along my basement. It's all cement, so it's easier for me just to add a couple wire coat hangers, and I just put them into the pilot holes and then just hung it. I was really excited to get this thing set up, so I didn't want to play around with trying to rig up some wood and some fancy. This is my basement, who cares how it looks? At any rate, it works. So it's there secure, it's not coming down, it's pretty stable. So I'm going to start off and show you how I got everything set up. So first and foremost, I have a little extension cord plugged into a switch. If you don't have one of those switches, get it from Home Depot. It turns your system on and off without having to plug it and unplug it. That runs into, or what's plugged into that extension cord is, the white plug is the pressure pump, and the black cord is the automatic shutoff. Before we get all the way back over to the RODI system, I also installed this guy right here. This is just a diverter. One goes to the wash machine and the other one goes to the actual RODI system. So if you follow that black cord, it just goes down to the pump. I don't know if you see the pump on the floor there. They sell a bunch of them. That's just a old pump I had for my Dart Frog misting system. I just turn the pressure down a little bit and it works perfect. It's 3/8 in, 3/8 out, which is perfect because the Spectra has a 3/8 in right there, so I didn't have to reduce it. So the 3/8 in goes into the filter. The filter then goes into the carbon block. When it comes out of the carbon block, before it goes into the membrane, remember how I told you I installed this little diverter. When I turn this diverter to the left, it sends the water right back out to the waistline, so I can actually, to right there, so I can actually drain the filter and carbon before it goes into my RO membrane. Then after it gets low enough on my TDS, I'll show you in a second, it goes through the RO membrane and comes out. The wastewater then goes into this RO membrane and then it comes out. Now, the way I can flush my RO membrane is through this little valve right here. It came with a regular one. I just installed this one because it's a little bit better, and that bypasses the flow restrictor in order to drain your RO membrane. But a way to drain it faster, like I showed you before when I turned on the back, is when this blue line comes out, which this blue line right here, which is going to go into your DI resin. Before I did that, remember I put this green line? That drains down with that T. Now, if you notice, there's a T and a switch there. So the T opens the line, and then the second, this one here, allows it to go left or right. Left means I'm going to flush it, and that's why it's black, and that'll bring it right back out to the wastewater line. And to the right brings it to this green line, which flows up, blah, blah, blah. And right now I just got to sit resting right here. But that normally will be my drinking water, or would I remineralize for my freshwater fish tanks. So when we close that valve like it is right now, it's going to send the water directly to the DI resin, and then from that resin to this resin, and then that goes out to my blue line, and my blue line comes blah blah blah, if you see it right there, comes up and up and up and up and up right here, and then down into my reservoir. Alright, so you see two solenoids here. The first solenoid goes to the auto shut off. So when the water reaches this little sensor right there, it'll shut off the solenoid. Once the solenoid shuts off, it'll create back pressure, and then I'll cut off the second solenoid, which turns off the pump. Now, I know I told you a few minutes ago I had a little white solenoid. I returned that shit back to Amazon. It didn't work. It didn't matter whether you turn the water off or not. Once this first solenoid is off, it'll just stop it, and even if it creates pressure in the system, it doesn't matter. And then the other thing I returned was the pressure gauge, which leaked. but I was able to use this pressure gauge just fine. It gave me an accurate reading, so it didn't matter. All right, so let's go through the whole turn on of the system and show you how I do it. So the first thing I do is I make sure that this is turned to flush, because I don't want water going into my DI resin. I want it going straight into my filter, then my carbon, and then right out the flush system. So the first thing we do is come over here and turn on the pump. You heard the pump come on. You heard the ATO come on. So now the water. Oh, there's no water going into the system. Let's do this. Turn this water on. All right, so now water is going in through the system, and you can hear it going out my waistline. All right, so that's flushing the system. So let's just see real quick, check the TDS meter, and see what we have as far as what's coming in. So this is what's coming in right now. My TDS is 150, 150, 145, and it's going down. And before it goes to my resin, this is before it goes to my resin, I'm down to 89. So I'll let that get down to probably about 50. I'll just let it run. Alright, so now that that's down to under 50, it's like 45. Notice there's just a little bit of water coming out, but that's okay because it's just not being diverted. So now that that's good, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the flow restrictor and let that pass, and we're going to now run the water through the DI resin, and it's going to still go out the waste, but it's bypassing these two. So now if you're down to 26, but nothing's actually going into the resin. So if I go here, it says 1 in and 0 out. But like I said, no pressure, no water's being sent through the resin right now. Very little. It's down to 17, 16. Alright, so see, I let that flush a little bit. So now what I'll do is we'll go down here. I'll open up this valve, make sure it's pointed to the left, and I'll close this valve. So now water can be directed to the DI resin. Before I let it go, I'll make sure that this valve is open and turned to the left, and then that'll send out water out to the waste, wastewater. If I want to create RO water without DI, I direct it to the right, and it'll come out of this green hose right here, which obviously I'm not using right now, so we'll just kind of stick that somewhere, kind of just to kind of temporarily hold off for now. All right, so again, I'll divert it down. If I divert it to the left, it goes out to the wastewater. If I divert it to the right, it goes to RO water if I want to make either drinking water or remineralized water to use in my freshwater system. So those two are closed now. The water is being redirected up through the DI resin and out. If you notice, the water coming out of the membrane is 0, going into the membrane is 0, and coming out is 0. So it's going in and coming out is 0. And with the pump, it goes at a steady pop. And usually it takes about 6.5 hours to fill up this 44-gallon brute trash can. Then I also have these 2 white trash cans that I'm going to use once I do my initial setup. So once I finish my initial setup and get rid of this 44-gallon brute, I won't need that anymore because these are 2 20-gallon jugs. One to be RO, one to be fresh salt water. So anytime I got to do water change, I'll just keep these 2 guys. That'll be 40 gallons. All right, so that's it. If you plan on getting a Spectra system, I definitely recommend you get at least this. You don't really need that. You could use the one that came with it. And then you need a T in the back, and then this little device right here if you got it, so you can drain your membranes. All right, that's it. So let's start making some RO water so we can make some fresh salt water. Until next time, take care, like, share, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for watching.